It's no secret that journalism isn't as respected as it once was. It certainly doesn't have the pedigree that it used to. Most people find journalist to be synonymous with clown, and it's really not hard to see why in a lot of cases when even today you have major publications like the Wall Street Journal in particular, who I'm going to name and shame real quick, who are writing goofy dogshit articles that are just blatantly wrong and misleading about Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried was the head of FTX, the cryptocurrency empire with billions upon billions of dollars in it that collapsed overnight and is a blatant case of fraud. But for some reason, Wall Street Journal and other publications, but Wall Street Journal in particular, has been playing this game of hide Sam's cock in their mouth, and they've been writing articles like refusing to admit that it was fraud and making all kinds of weird excuses for it, like, oh, the reason FTX failed was actually because supporters lost confidence in Sam Bankman-Fried, or Sam Bankman-Fried was the world's most generous billionaire who had plans to save the world and now he can't since his empire collapsed. Playing the world's smallest violin for a fucking criminal, a fraud. It's so weird. And it's things like that that give journalism as a whole a very negative reputation. I know I've already spent quite a bit of time talking about this, but it's just infuriating. Oh, no, he's not a fraud. It's because he was too nice and too smart. We didn't see the vision, so it's actually our fault. You know, Sam Bankman-Fried's a goddamn angel. It's fucking sickening. And it leads to this stigma around journalism. But there are great journalists out there, and the one I want to talk about today is a journalist who is legitimately putting his life on the line in order to deliver extremely important stories to the public. And he's actually a YouTuber. His name is Friendly Jordies. He's a comedian who has, for the last couple of years, been very much delivering some of the hardest hitting journalism in all of Australia. And the price he's paid for this is a huge one. He's been threatened more times than Bugs Bunny by Elmer Fudd. He is constantly getting threats from powerful people. He's been sued. Even very recently, he was involved in a defamation case that resulted in Google, YouTube having to pay $715,000 over this defamation case. He was labeled racist or abusive for a series of videos he made talking about a person in power. He's done so many stories about corruption at even the highest level, and most recently, the scariest thing has happened to him. His life was put in jeopardy. His house was firebombed. He made a video going over the situation, but it's also been reported by so many Australian news outlets as well. The situation is as follows. His neighbor's house was firebombed on the 17th of November. It was luckily put out pretty quickly, and then shortly after that, his house was firebombed, and a lot of it was damaged, obviously. Now, this appears to be a deliberate attack. The fact that his neighbors got firebombed and then he did makes it seem like they originally went for him to begin with, but were too fucking stupid to figure out which one was his residence, so they gambled on a 50-50 and lost. Kind of like when you gamble on a fart and shit your pants, but then they came back and tried to finish the job. It's fucking terrifying stuff. I'm going to play you a bit of his interview with the media here when they were waiting for him outside of his house.
I would hope that the New South Wales strike force that is supposedly set up for fixated people and terrorists would be looking into this instead of a comedian and his team for 6 months straight at the whim of a previous premier that all of you defended for his last 10 years, and then when he came out, and even after all the New York stuff, you're still sitting there defending him now. I saw all of your articles today where you all wrote all of the same little narrative that you write every time. I would hope that you would put just as much attention on the fact that that happened as you have on trying to assassinate my character over the last year. Thanks for your time.
Did something happen here a week ago, Jordan?
Now, his real name is Jordan, and even in the face of his life being threatened, he still rolls up calm and collected like Kratos, keeping his slapping hand primed and ready for these media cheeks. And it's not like his anger is misplaced. He has had very less than favorable articles written about him with a lot of labels attached to that, which I don't think are deserved when the entire purpose of Jordy's content recently has been exposing corruption at the highest level, which is an extremely important thing to be doing, where I feel he should be rewarded instead of vilified. But, you know, that's just me. I don't live in Australia here, but he has been treated very poorly by the people that are now standing outside of his home, showing no empathy at all. No sympathy at all, just trying to circle around like vultures on roadkill to get their scoop for their clicks. and he rightfully is upset at them and points out a bit of the hypocrisy surrounding it. I'd also like to add a bit of context surrounding Jordy's statement about the fixated people and terrorists statement he made in that clip. Well, it's because one of his producers was arrested by the unit that's supposed to be monitoring and stopping, like, terrorists, I guess. It's the Fixated Persons Unit. His producer was arrested for stalking. What a remarkable joke. It would almost be laughable if it wasn't so goddamn scary. He was arrested for stalking and intimidating when doing their reporting on the person that they were talking about by the goddamn department that's supposed to be about, like, you know, threats, like terrorist threats. Like, holy shit. That is mind-blowing. So Jordy's really does have every right to, of course, be upset. And obviously, after his house being firebombed like this, it's a fucking terrifying situation. He does very deep reporting. He exposes a lot of corruption, and I feel like he's probably one of the hardest hitting journalists Australia has at the moment that I'm aware of. He's celebrated by a lot of Australians as well for all of his reporting, and now his life is in danger, and it's hard to say who's responsible for the attack. He mentions in the same clip that because he's been doing reporting on, you know, a lot of corruption at a very high level, it's hard to say who actually may have carried out the attack.
Obviously, we've done some extremely dangerous reporting over the last year, I suppose, of a bunch of extremely powerful people and corporations. There is many people that would want to do that. I obviously can't say who I suspect it is, but I do have like a short list in my head of who I think would have done it.
What a fucking horrifying situation for anyone to be in, and yet somehow Jordy's maintains a very composed demeanor. He continues joking throughout the rest of the video, even joking about the situation, and somehow staying, like, calm and collected, which is fucking baffling. The man is just built different. He's got tungsten throughout his body. It's fucking wild. Now, it doesn't matter how you feel about political opinions or whatever. I think everyone should be able to agree that his house being firebombed is outrageous. That's a huge problem, and it should result in a very thorough investigation that leads to people being arrested for this act. I think everyone should agree with that. But yeah, I want to mention that Jordy's also does have a Patreon if you want to directly support his content beyond just watching the videos. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. And yeah, I think this is just terrible that it happened, and hoping for his safety in the future and hoping they catch whoever was responsible for the firebomb attack. That's about it. So yeah.